Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie. In tonight's video, I thought I would do a different kind of review. Now, as you guys may or may not know, I am not admittedly the biggest comic book reader. In fact, when it comes to properties such as DC and Marvel, most of my knowledge comes from friends who are comic book readers or stuff I've read online or cartoon shows I used to watch that's more DC than it is Marvel. But, I consider myself fairly knowledgeable, but I am by no means expert. But anyway, the point is, I'm not a big comic book reader, as shocking as that may sound to some of you. However, there are some comics that do pique my interest, and I thought I would do a review video for one that I recently just finished because the fourth and final issue came out. Now, be warned, I will be going into spoilers for the film that came out earlier this year, the film that is still my number one favorite movie of 2017, unless, of course, The Last Jedi takes that spot when I see it next week. But as of right now, my favorite film of 2017 is Kong Skull Island. You know, it wasn't even in my top 3 most anticipated films of this year, but Kong Skull Island, if I had to make a choice right off the top of my head, is my number one favorite film. It gave me exactly what I wanted to see. It was super fun. It was super exciting, and it was what I wanted and then some. It had one of the best post-credit scenes ever, and that's saying a lot because Marvel usually has some pretty gnarly, awesome post-credit scenes that make you smile or squeal. So did Kong Skull Island. Anyway, I enjoyed the film. And a month after the movie came out, Legendary Pictures revealed that they were going to be releasing a prequel/sequel to the film called Skull Island: The Birth of Kong. This is issue number 1. I received this earlier this summer when I attended Comic-Con in San Diego. There was a Kong Skull Island experience, or an exhibit you could walk through, which is like you're walking through the skeletal remains of a dead gorilla. And then there's also a giant King Kong hand you could stand in front of for a cool photo op. And the first 1,000 people who attended got a free comic a free comic. In this case, it's the first issue of the 4-issue series Skull Island: The Birth of Kong. Basically, what this is that it's both a prequel and a sequel to the film, because this story actually takes place in 2012, 2 years before Godzilla occurs. When I say Godzilla, I mean the film Godzilla from 2014. So this story begins in 2012, but then it's also told in flashbacks from one of the main characters who led another Monarch-led expedition back to Skull Island in 1995. Or 96. Anyway, but it mostly takes place in 1995 when the son of one of the characters from Skull Island, the Corey Hawkins character, he and the Asian girl apparently become an item, have a son together, and that son grows up to be a member of Monarch. And basically, the son believes that King Kong should not be entrusted with humanity's survival by keeping other monsters on Skull Island at bay. So he leads an expedition to see if Kong is really living up to his title as king, and then things go wrong. And it's a really, really fun story. It's a great read. This is issue number 1. This is what that cover looks like. And then this is issue number 2. This is the one that I actually recently bought. This was the last one I bought because I actually got issue number 1 from Comic-Con. And then a few months ago, I was in a comic book store and I just decided to be opportunistic and grab issue number 3 right here. And then I also recently, along with number 2, I recently bought the 4th and final issue as well. And the reason why I did it in that order, because I simply missed out on the opportunity to buy this when it was in comic book stores. I finally found this online. God, it felt like it took forever finding issue number 2, but I finally found this online from a comic book store in North Carolina, got it, and now it's mine, and now I have all 4 issues. Of course, shortly realizing this afterwards, I realized that a paperback issue of all 4 issues will be put into one paperback copy, which will be in stores later this month. In fact, I think in like on Monday, I think, on December 12th, I think, or something like that. Anyway, so for those of you who want to read this story, you can either buy the individual comics as I did, or it'll probably just be easier to buy the paperback edition, which will be available at any bookstore. The one that I saw listed was Barnes & Noble, so you can go to your local Barnes & Noble and check there, and I think it comes out in a few days. Or you could try your luck with your local comic book store like I did and see if any of them have any of the issues for Skull Island, The Birth of Kong. Like I said, this was my favorite movie of the year, and I also loved the 2014 Godzilla film. There's little glimpses and teases of references made to that movie and to other creatures as well. And this story, I felt like was another fun, exciting, interesting story. Just like Kong Skull Island was, I felt like this was just a continuation of the awesomeness that I saw in the movie, and I feel like the comic book captured that same level of excitement as it did in the movie. And it's a very, very fun read, and it gives you what I love about it is that it gave a lot of depth and character to Kong itself, because he's not some mindless killing machine or some enormous brute. You know, he actually feels things, and he doesn't kill at random, and he's more of a protector than he is an aggressor. And they really get into his backstory and his origins. Like, I think one of my favorite issues would have to be issue number 2, where it really gets into his backstory. Now, I won't go into full details, but just to give you guys a teaser idea of what I'm talking about, this is one of the scenes from the story. This is from issue number 2. This is basically a flashback as being told by one of the characters, revealing that millions upon millions of years ago, Skull Island was, before humans came, Skull Island belonged to the giant gorillas, to Kong's species, until the skull crawlers came up from the earth, and it was all out raging giant monster war. I mean, look at that art, you know, and if you enjoy comic book art or, awesome renderings such as this is pretty damn cool. I think this is a great 2-page filler right here. I mean, look how cool that is. It's giant gorillas fighting skull crawlers, which was the main antagonist of the film, the skull crawler, ugly guy right there. No, Kong is not in any of these pictures. These are his ancestors and his kind simply fighting them off. But, this was just such a fun story, a great read. I'm glad. I was so happy that I finally had all 4 issues in my possession. I probably could have just waited and bought the paperback, but oh well, screw it. You know, once I got the first issue from Comic-Con, I was immediately hooked after reading it. I'm like, damn it, now I want the other 3 issues. And over time, I have them all now. So I'm very, very happy that I have these in my possession, and I can't wait to read it again. And I enjoyed it so much, which is why I wanted to do a comic book review for you guys. For those of you who may not have read it yet, don't worry, I haven't given away any super crucial or spoilers or in details in regards to the story. I just gave you a summary or an idea of what it's about. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet. It's called Skull Island, The Birth of Kong. I'm emphasizing what the title of it is because, as it turns out, when I was researching online to find issue number 2, there are actually several other King Kong comic books out there, other comic book issues. But this one from the movie Kong Skull Island is called Skull Island, The Birth of Kong. It is a 4-issue series. Again, you can find these most likely at your local comic book store. If not all 4 issues, then at least the latest issue. And maybe you can try your luck online or at other comic book stores, or just wait for the paperback edition, which should be available later this month from any bookstore, and most likely Barnes & Noble, since they carry the newest and the latest in the world of books. Well, guys, I hope you found this video somewhat informative, and if not a little exciting as well. I hoped that I have intrigued some of you to read this story. I think it's a great story. Like I said, I'm normally not a big comic book reader, but when TV or movie comics are based off of movie or TV adaptations, like, the movie or the TV show came first, and then a prequel, sequel comic came next, then, it usually can capture my interest. So Skull Island, The Birth of Kong is available in comic book stores now, and the paperback edition will be available in a couple of days as well. Well, guys, that's it for my comic book review. I hope, like I said, I hope you found it informative and exciting. I highly recommend this comic for anyone who also enjoyed Kong Skull Island and who also enjoyed Godzilla as well. And I feel like this is a great read that just makes the MonsterVerse all that more exciting and titillating. It even says MonsterVerse right there. Underneath the M right there. That's what they're calling it now. Not to be confused with Universal's Dark Universe, which is either canceled or on hold. I want to say it's on hold at the moment. But this, I think, is going to provide us plenty with a lot to look forward to in future MonsterVerse films featuring Godzilla, King Kong, and who knows what else. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for another review video here on the EdWord. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more reviews like this one. Do you guys want to see more comic book reviews? Please let me know in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear from everybody. If you've read this and you want to share your favorite scene, make sure that you post spoiler warning at the beginning of your comments so that if people read it, nothing is ruined for them, just out of common courtesy. And let me know what you thought of this video and if you would like to see more comic book related videos like this one. All right, guys, have a great rest of the night. Thanks for watching, and of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.